To further examine the issues surrounding the security in the Northeast, I'm being joined on the News at 10 by retired military officer Colonel Francis Irabo. Thank you for joining us tonight.
Francis Okosum.
Sorry, Francis Okosum, my sincere apologies. Now, there's no doubt that Boko Haram militants have been largely rooted. How would you describe the continuing attacks that we're seeing in some towns in the Northeast?
Well, I can appreciate the discomfiture of the theater commanders at this moment. However, this is not unexpected. When you have asymmetric warfare as you have there, you would expect that the insurgents would take any opportunity available to them to cause this kind of mayhem, to cause this kind of disaffection, because by such attacks, they're causing disaffection among the populace. The terrorists decides to attack you because he wants the government, the establishment, to look incapable, and that's precisely what they are trying to achieve, and that's what they possibly are achieving.
The governor of Borno State has disagreed with the UN coordinator for humanitarian affairs that some of the local government areas are still under Boko Haram control because they don't have access to some of these areas because of the activities of the insurgents, so they say. Do you think that the concern that they have is misplaced?
I wouldn't think the concerns are misplaced. See, you don't have complete control of the ground out there because the terrorists have dominance in certain areas. But we don't have large swath of territory under Boko Haram control, as we had, say, in 2015, when, according to Daily Telegraph, you had 20,000 miles of territory controlled by...
So are you saying that some areas are still being held by Boko Haram?
No, I am saying Boko Haram is there in the northeast, and where they are is territory they occupy, but not to the extent that it interferes with the overall maneuvering or governance of the northern states.
Okay, but let's assume that the insurgents are not holding any territory like the military says. How are they able to operate then? How are they able to move about in vehicles with weapons without being noticed by the military operatives?
The difference between the Boko Haram and the conventional army is precisely that. They are not the conventional forces that you can mark out as, say, country A or B fighting. You can say, you can determine their order of battle. That is to say, we have this country, they have the headquarter elements here, they have this unit there, they have that formation there. Then you can plan on such information, on such data. Boko Haram doesn't have any fixed disposition.
But they are moving about in the northeast.
That's what we're talking about. Because they move about, and they're not dressed in uniforms, are they? They are not dressed in uniforms. They're just like any other person. That's
because they're trying to blend into the community.
They do blend into the community because they are insurgents. Anywhere in the world, insurgents would be like that. Insurgents don't come out like regular armies and dress like regular soldiers so you can mark them out. No, they don't. That's the difference.
So you were on track talking about how they move about and how they're still able to carry out their activities in the northeast without being noticed by the military.
Not so. I didn't say so. What I'm saying is because they are what they are and because they are who they are more able to blend with the populace as against, say, the Nigerian soldiers who are moving. Nigerian soldiers are dressed in full combat gear. I mean the regular soldiers, the combatant soldiers. They are dressed in full regular gear, so you can tell them from the civilians. But no. Not so with the terrorists.
Well, some say it will be quite impossible to wipe out the insurgents. I mean, it's also quite impossible to wipe out terrorism, but you can bring it down to a minimum. You can, control activities, you can restrict their movements and so on. What would be the best way to secure remote towns and villages that are still experiencing these isolated attacks?
Actually, let me say something. In 2015, as I said earlier, you had so much land in the hands of the terrorists. Between then and now, so much has been done. So much ground has been covered. All the territories cannot be covered at the same time. It will take some time. It will take some effort. And should I also add that the the factor of intelligence has a lot to play here. I would not put any of this to failure of intelligence, not at all. I would say that the various segments of society, the various arms of the establishment and the system should come together, should come into play here. The civilians, these people live in their midst, they should be able to tell one person from the other. Should be able to say, this person is not what we think he portends, or what he presents himself to be, or they present themselves to be. So
that seems like a lot of responsibility on the civilians, because their own lives are in danger. I mean, they have these insurgents living with them. Exposing any insurgents is also a threat to your own life.
There you go. So precisely, you find some channels to reach the authorities to say, this is what we think is untoward here, and then expect something to be done. Otherwise.
Colonel Okosun, thank you for joining us on the News at 10.
You're welcome.